Here's what I want to do before I start is I want to give us a little bit of a roadmap of where we're going for the next 6 weeks. This was going to be a 4-week series, but I changed my mind a few days ago, and so I'm adding 2 more weeks on it. So hopefully you guys are okay with that. And so here's what we're going to do. Today's going to kick it off, but next week is going to be about the best parenting advice in the world. It will melt your face off, okay? So come next week. If you have kids or would like to have kids or you haven't seen your kids in a while, not sure where they're at, come next week. It is going to be the advice that God has been really teaching me and my wife Kelly and really what we've been learning. So that's going to be next week. Week 3 of the series is going to be specifically around marriage. And there's a bunch of us in the room that are married. And I want to talk very directly to those of you that are married or would like to get married one day and really talk about how do we connect? Like, how do you have that kind of intimacy within a marriage? So I'm going to talk about that for week 3. The last week of the series, let me just skip to week 6. Super excited about this. It's going to be on Valentine's Day, which is partly also a reminder, Guy, to put that in your calendar. That's coming up. So February 14th is Valentine's Day. And here's what we're going to do. From this day forward is really the title of the message. And on that day, Valentine's Day, I'm going to give everyone an opportunity that is married to renew their vows in here. Yeah, right? And so here's the deal. Some of you, you can just come dressed as you are today. You can be casual. Or you can just go all out and wear your wedding dress, all right? Jess Bowman said a few days ago, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm wearing my wedding dress. All right, well, some of you can't find your wedding dress. You don't have to dress up. You can dress just as you are. You don't have to RSVP. Just come. It's going to be kind of an in-the-moment thing. I'll give everyone an opportunity to do this. Here's why I'm letting you know this far in advance. This would be a great opportunity for you to invite friends and family members to come to be part of your vow renewal service, and you're just happening to do it with 600 of your best friends, all right? So invite them to come, be part of that. Our creative team is going to put a number of different elements around that service to make that really, really meaningful, okay? Today is week 1 of Do Family Better, and before I kick us off, let me pray for you, and let me pray for me, and we will begin. God, thank you for what you are doing in our midst. Thank you for what you're doing in this young church. God, I've been anticipating these 6 weeks for a long time, praying and begging that you would breathe new life into our relationships, that you would breathe new vision into our marriages, God, that you would do something significant in 2016 within the context of family. We ask for this in Jesus' name. Amen. So here's the deal. When it comes to family, we all find ourselves in this tension. We find ourselves in the tension between what is real and what is ideal, all right? Between what is real and what is ideal. The first time I heard it talked about this way was in 2012 from a pastor named Andy Stanley. I reference him all the time. I have a life-size poster of him on my room. Not really. But he gave this message in a series called Future Family. Show of hands, have you guys ever listened or watched that series? I know we had a group that went through it at one point. Incredible series if you haven't checked it out before. And he talked about that's really where we find ourselves, don't we? When it comes to family, we find ourselves in this tension between what's real and what's ideal. Let's start with what's ideal, all right? When we think about what ideal is, this is what you thought it would be. When it comes to what's ideal, this is what you hoped it would be. This is the ideal that you've been asking God for. This is the ideal that you've been praying for. This is the ideal that your Christian counselor is equipping you and pointing you towards. The ideal is what you've seen in couples you admire. So when you think of couples that you want to become more like, that is the ideal. Words that describe the ideal, words like unity, connection, vitality, romance. Some of you haven't thought of that word in a long time. Romance. How about this word, decades? Ideal is not just we're going to be together for a month. No, it's words like decades. Let's expand this thought of family into siblings. It's words like sibling celebration and connection. Some of you are I have no idea what that would even look like. The ideal could look like roommate harmony. The ideal is full of deep questions. It's full of laughter until your stomach hurts. When was the last time you laughed as a family until someone wet their pants? Seriously. And would you admit that in public? Probably not, right? I mean, that's what the ideal feels like. It feels like this kind of depth. It feels like laughter, right? It's this kind of connectedness. It's filled with deep questions and attentive listening. This is what the ideal is. And you also know, probably a little bit more familiar even with the real. And when it comes to the real, here's the thing. Some of you, your real is really close to the ideal. And if that's you, you're the tension or the gap is not very big at all. Praise God for that. In fact, let's go out to lunch because I want to ask you a lot of questions. Praise God for the fact that that gap between what's real and ideal is like really small. You need to thank him for that. But here's what I know. I know you. I know that for many, that gap is actually significant. There is a significant gap between what's real and what is ideal. Words that describe the real are words like heartache, confusion, frustration, anger, words that we're very, very familiar with. Phrases that describe the real are phrases like, it is what it is. I actually hate that phrase more than any other phrase that I know of. It is what it is, man. It just is what it is, man. It's marriage, you know? It just is what it is. It's how my dad, kind of did it, and, things got hard, he left too. It just is what it is. Or a phrase like this that describes the real for you perhaps is it's complicated, right? It's complicated. For some of you, what you are placing in the gap between what's real and ideal is a 4-letter word. You're wondering what word I'm going to say in this moment. It's this word. It's the word quit. It's the word quit. And firsthand, I've seen that word lived out to the nth degree over the past 12 months in friends of mine's marriages. I have. I mean, that's the word that you're placing in between the gap. It's gotten too difficult. It's gotten too hard. You never thought family would be this demanding or this confusing, and there you are. Here's the deal. 2016, we're just 10 days in, and you've got a white towel in your hand. You're saying, I'm done. I quit. I can't handle this anymore. You're ready to quit on your relationships. You're ready to quit on that circle of friends. You're ready to quit on that spouse. You're ready to quit on those grandkids. You got them all kinds of things. You practically bought Costco for them, right? Zero gratefulness. You are ready to quit. Some of you, you're not ready to quit. You just feel stuck, right? I mean, that's me a lot of days. A lot of days, I just feel stuck, right? A lot of days are really good too, but there's a lot of days I'm just not sure how to move towards the ideal. And some of you are saying, I feel stuck and I'm just not sure where to begin. And so I'm going to help us know where to begin. Here's where we begin. I want you to write this down. Replace good intentions with great intentionality. Here it is. This is what I'm going to be talking about for the next 25 minutes. I'm going to say that phrase until you're tired of hearing me say it, all right? Replace good intentions with great intentionality. I want you to try saying that with me on the count of 3. I want you to say it with some intentionality on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Replace good intentions with great intentionality. I want you to think about some of your favorite stories that you watched in a theater or on Netflix. All right, let's just start out with romance. You will see in some of your favorite love stories, there is this edge of great intentionality. Let's start with this one, all right? David Godowski, he told me this is his favorite movie of all time. He watches it, I think, every other week, he said. Just kidding. The Notebook, show of hands, how many of you guys have seen this? And the rest of you are just embarrassed to admit it, right? Noah and Allie. Did Noah just intend to build the house? Remember that? And he was kind of in his depressed mode, rugged, beard grown out phase. Did he just intend to build a house? He just intended to take her on those kind of boat rides? Or did he demonstrate great intentionality? This next movie is a throwback, and for some of you, this is going to be one of your favorite moments in church ever. How many of you guys remember John Cusack and Say Anything? Yeah. Bill, that was almost a spiritual experience right there in that moment. You're like, yes, finally, right? You guys remember this? I don't even know, what are those things called anymore? I don't even know what they're called. Boombox. Okay, yeah, he's holding, some of the students are like, is that a jam box, a giant jam box? What is that thing, right? And he's holding this boombox, right? Great intentionality. Like he's going to do everything that he can to win over Diane. And Say Anything. Let's expand perhaps our thinking on family, because Jesus did. You can read in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus, when he was asked, well, who is your family? He shocked everyone. He said, family is those or whoever is doing the will of the Father. In essence, Jesus is saying family is not only those that you live with, it's those that you do this Christian life with. And so let's expand family for a moment. Think about some of your favorite movies from a friendship standpoint. Some of my favorite, here they are. Number 1, The Help. You did not expect me to say that one. Oh my goodness, is this a great movie. So powerful, the friendship displayed in that one. Or this throwback, anyone? And just for the record, my truffle shuffle is really amazing. I can seriously do the chunk. This is one of my favorites of all time. Remember the Titans. You guys ever seen that one? Amazing film on racial reconciliations, especially with Martin Luther King Jr. Day coming up. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And you see these two guys, these linebackers, right, fight it out. Strong. I mean, I just love it. It gets me so worked up. And you see their friendship. You don't see them just intend to reconcile. You see great intentionality replace good intentions with what? With great intentionality. This next movie is my all-time favorite. It's Lonesome Dove. Has anyone ever seen Lonesome Dove? Really? Seriously? That's amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. It's actually a series. It's a series of movies. I try to watch it every year. It's one of the best stories ever on friendship. Amazing, the intentionality described. Or I'm a big Navy SEAL fan. I don't know what that is. Like, I could never make it because I can't swim. But Act of Valor, I don't know if you've seen that movie. Amazing what that is displayed. Here's the last movie I want to talk about. This movie. I'll never forget when I saw this in the theater for the first time. I just graduated college, and me and my brother Justin and some friends, we went to Marcus Theater. It was before the recliners. And we sat there and we watched Passion. And I wept. I remember hearing my brother weep. And here's the deal. Why did we weep? We didn't weep because we saw good intentions displayed in the film. We wept because we saw great intentionality displayed through Jesus Christ. I don't know what it was. It was like it was in HD. I'll never forget what I experienced in that moment. The gospel was so much more real to me and to us. Here's why that matters. Jesus calls us to love one another according to the pattern of how he loved us. Did you know that? If you're a follower of Jesus, you actually don't get an option in this. He commands this of you, so there isn't like any opt-out clause. If you're kicking the tires on Christianity, you can't opt out. I would recommend you try it and just see what happens. But if you are a follower of Jesus, you're actually commanded to not just look at the love of Jesus, but you are commanded to emulate the love of Jesus in your relationships. Here's how Jesus said it in John chapter 13, 34 and 35. This is a great 2 verses to memorize in this new year. This is what he said. Don't just spectate my love. I want you to emulate my love. Here's what he said. A new command I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples. Isn't that fascinating? Just a little sidebar here. He's saying, you don't have to go to seminary and then everyone's going to know. You don't have to have all this theological depth and then everyone's going to know that you're with me. He said, no, if you love according to how I have loved you. He said, this is how you're going to have the most impact. This is how you appoint more people towards me. They will know. Everyone will know that you're with me. And then he gives the huge if you love one another. A new command, he says, I give you. Now, I've been meditating, thinking, studying those 2 verses for 4 weeks, so I've got a little head start on you. And it first struck me how he said, a new command I give you. And I know the Old Testament. Read Leviticus, I think, 17. This is when it kicked off back in the Old Testament. This was not a new idea. The concept of love was old. So why is Jesus saying this is new? Don't you find that interesting? A new command I give you. And this guy's got to be like, no, hold on. We know the Old Testament. In fact, they had much of it memorized. There's nothing new about the concept of love. And Jesus is saying, exactly. I'm not talking about the concept of love. I'm talking about the quality of love. I'm talking about the kind of love that I have displayed right in front of your eyes. This is what makes it new. Another way you can look at it, what makes it new, it's the 5 words right there in the middle of it. I'm not sure if you caught it. As I have loved you. That's what makes it new. One of my commentaries that I came across said it this way. What was new was Jesus' command for his disciples to love one another as he has loved them, laying down their lives. This rule of self-sacrificial, self-giving, selfless love, a unique quality of love inspired by Jesus' own love for the disciples, will serve as the foundational ethic for the new messianic community. This new command is what fueled and differentiated this new community. Did you know that? This new command is what fueled and differentiated this new community. They were different. They stood out. No one had seen a community love like this. I mean, read John Ortberg's book, Who is This Man? He gets into the history of it. It'll blow your mind. Hospitals and other things invented by this new kind of community that was known for this new kind of love. Here's what I've been thinking about. Did Jesus just intend to come to earth? Did he just intend to choose the 12? Did he just intend to feed the 5,000? Did he just intend to raise Lazarus from the dead? And I know this is obvious what I'm getting at, so I'm just going to stay at it, all right? Did he just intend to wash the disciples' feet earlier in chapter 13? And aren't we glad that he just didn't intend to go to the cross, but he did. Replace good intentions with great intentionality. I want to go back to that picture of the gap. This gap between what's real and what's ideal. Let me ask you this question. Is the reason, or at least one of the reasons that gap is so great, is because you are continually filled with good intentions? I'll go first. My intentions are real good, by the way. And I had a little bit of a fight a few weeks ago with Kelly, my wife, argument. And if you're perfect, you're not allowed to go to this church. I don't know if anyone told you on the way in, so you can just act seriously. You can get up right now and leave. If you have it all together, you're not allowed to come here. And so Kelly and I have an incredible marriage. We do. We really do. By God's grace and by a lot of work. We have a great marriage. And at the same time, we have a real marriage. You know what I mean? Like, there's just times where she doesn't agree with me. She just sometimes doesn't quite get it. No? She comes to the next service. And so we had this big argument. Some of our biggest arguments just come out of nowhere, and I'm never prepared for them. I'm not even stretched out. You know, I'm just like, there it is, and I wasn't ready for it, right? This was a big one. It turned into something bigger than it should have been, quite frankly. It was all about my good intentions. I signed up to be part of this gym called Charter Fitness. Most of you haven't heard of it. It's a gym for powerlifters. And is there free weights there? I love that question. So signed up for Charter Fitness, good intentions to get in shape. Had those intentions since 2003, and I hadn't gone for 4 months. And I know that you guys, this doesn't resonate with you guys. You've never done this. I hadn't gone in 4 months, and Kelly asked me very nicely. She's like, "Hey, why don't you just cancel that membership? You don't go." And I'm like, well, that kind of feels like a dig, but let's just keep talking about it. You're right, I don't go. I'm intending to go. She's like, but you haven't gone. True. I just like the feel of having a membership. I was trying to explain this to her. It's not so much going as it is I can go if I feel led to go. And so we talked this out, and we decided, you know what? We're real focused on our finances. I just said, you're right. Even though it's $10 a month, that could go towards something else. So I said, you're right, babe. Totally right. I'm going to cancel this membership. The guys will understand. And so about a month goes by, all right? So now here's this big fight. She said, hey, I just saw our bill, our credit card bill, and it says Charter Fitness. I'm like, that's weird. And she's like, I thought we agreed that you were going to cancel that. You in fact gave me your word. Yeah. Gave me your word that you were going to cancel it. And here's the deal, I lost it. I lost it. Not like fully losing it. I'm not sure what you think of when I wasn't throwing stuff. I was so frustrated because she didn't understand how good my intentions were. Like, Kel, you have no idea how good my intentions are to cancel that. Some of my best yet. It's December, I got a lot going on, my dog's dying, I've got all this stuff going on, my intentions are really good. And here's what was amazing to me. My good intentions did not seem to connect to her as like me loving her well. She just didn't seem to translate it as love. I'm not sure why. And we began to talk about it, and we talked about it, and we talked about it, and this is when this really theme began to stand out to me. Much of the gap that I create is because of my good intentions, right? And what God is teaching me, and what I'm praying He will be speaking to you today and for the weeks to come, is to replace those good intentions with great intentionality. So here's the thing. I knew I was going to be teaching on this today, so what did I do earlier in the week? Cancel it. Knocked it out. Crushed it. In fact, I've been crushing it all week. Yeah, I have. I've been doing stuff around the house. She didn't even anticipate to ask me. Last night I'm changing a light bulb, but I'm crushing it this week. I'm Captain Intentionality. To the degree, she's like, I've noticed, John, and I'm going to thank you. I know there's students in the house, but I'm just going to. And to which the good news is she's coming to the next service, and I'm just going to say, Kyle, replace good intentions with great intentionality. So I think things are going to work out. So here's what I'm trying to get. So I go first, right? So that's been me. That's been me. How about you? And I got kind of a list of perhaps what might connect to you, how you've been intending to make amends with her or with him. You've been intending to plan that father-son trip. You've been intending to do that for like 5 years. You've been intending to implement family discussion around the dinner table. You've been intending to implement family devotional time. You have. You've been intending to bring your fire pit out to the driveway so you can love where you live. Been intending to do that since we started the church. Or maybe you've been intending to finish that project. You've been intending to plan that anniversary date that doesn't include Denny's. You've been intending to, here we go. You've been intending to make being at church every Sunday a family value. I want you to sit in that for a second. Because here's why. When your kids are in college, and when they're out of college and church is such an afterthought, you're going to meet with me. Here's what happens. You're going to sit down with me. You're going to say, John, I don't get it. They don't care. They never go to church, right? And in that moment, you know what I'm going to say? You demonstrated to them for the 18 years they were in your home that it was completely optional. Yeah. So some of you aren't going to set that meeting up with me, right? It's just the truth. It's just the truth, and it needs to hurt, right? And here's the thing, all right, while I'm on it. It's not how we do things anymore. It's where our culture has gravitated to, but I'm begging you in 2016, make Sunday sacred again. For the love of your family, do it. I mean, when I travel, I'm finding a church somewhere. Why? I don't know. It's just how I've always understood how to do family and how to do life. I'm with God's people every Sunday. How about this one? You've intended to join that golf league. Actually, no, you already got that one done. You actually accomplished that one. So good job on that one. You intended to begin marriage counseling. You finally overcame this kind of myth that it's only for the weak and really messed up, which I've been trying to crush since we started the church. Kelly and I are huge in marriage counseling. I call it coaching. We get some ourselves. Gosh. All right, I got to watch my time here. I'm like many messages within a message. You've been intending to do it, and still you want to keep meeting with me. I'm just tired of it. Just be real. I'm going to give you some real. Like, you're intending to do it. You're intending to forgive your older brother. You're intending, this one hurts me, so I'm just going to say this last one so we all feel really convicted. I intend to pray with Kelly every day. I did it last night, so I got some momentum. Here's the deal. One of the best ways we can replace good intentions with great intentionality is through something called rituals. Rituals. Say that with me on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Rituals. Let me define it first so you don't misunderstand it. Rituals are social interactions that are repeated, coordinated, and significant. All right, so it's kind of different than habits. They got to be significant for your family. Done a lot of research over the last number of weeks on this. Fascinating. Bill Doherty, he's a professor up at the University of Minnesota, one of the leading thinkers and writers on everything marriage and family. And here's what I found in one of the articles in my research. Here's what Bill said. The two key ingredients for a successful marriage are commitment and intentionality by creating a reservoir of marital rituals of connection and intimacy. Really good. Creating this reservoir. And you're like, what's that? Like a bank, right? Of marital and I would say family rituals of connection and intimacy. Those that are doing family the best, here's what you will find. They have rituals. You begin to examine their family, you begin to examine their marriage, you will find that there are regular practices in their family and in their marriage. It's not accidental at all. It's premeditated. Because somewhere along the line, they said, you know what? We're going to do family better. Somewhere along the line, they said, we only have a few years with these kids. We're not going to drift. We're not going to hope that somehow we're going to have this dynamic connection. No, we're going to prioritize this thing. We're going to have these rituals that are meaningful, that help foster intimacy and connection. This is what you'll find. So here's what I did this week. I emailed a number of people that I respect in this church, that I look up to in many ways on how they're doing family better. And I just said, hey, you got any rituals? I already knew the answer. Got any rituals? And if so, please tell me some of them. So I'm going to go through some of these. Here's the first one, Chaz and Hillary Black. You might remember them. Last year, this time, they got engaged on our stage. Yeah, this is why you need to come every week, too. You might miss something cool, all right? Remember that? We had a dinner party at our house a few nights ago, and my question was, hey, how do you, what have you guys been doing that's really been fostering kind of connection in your marriages? It was our question to talk about. And Hillary said, here's what we've been doing. We've only been married 6 months, but we've prayed together every single day in the last 6 months. And in that moment, the rest of us veterans around the table, we felt terrible, especially my brother. And he was like, yeah, us too, right? They're only 6 months in, right? But a lot of times you can learn some of the best things about marriage from those that are fresh, right? 6 months in, and haven't missed a day. Hillary, Chaz, getting it done, doing family better, praying every day. That's a ritual. This next one is a few teenagers you've never met before. It's a picture of Tanner, Kylie, and Cameron. I'm a very proud uncle. This is my nephew and nieces in Atlanta, Georgia. Again, I want to expand this idea of family so you're not just thinking about marriages. I want you to think about your siblings, especially you students growing up. Here's a ritual they have. This is seriously incredible. They have a weekly sibling breakfast. Yeah. Guess who initiated that? Tanner, my guy, my protege. Leader. He takes them out, he pays for the bill, he gets it done. And here, while I'm at it, let me just say this. Those of you that are the eldest sibling, you have more influence than you will ever imagine. You set the tone. And I love it, man. This is just a ritual that no one told him to do it. He just did it. Takes them out. Before school, they go eat breakfast and just hang out together. It's unbelievable. Mark Carbonero. Ask him. Mike, you are rich in friendship. Why? He has rituals of being in a mission group and serving all the time. He's up there right now, serving. You talk to him, you get around him, you'll see a guy does family better than most people I know. Russ Robinson, I emailed Russ and Lynn this past week, and they're a couple that Kelly and I admire quite a bit, and just said, what have you guys done? Their response was this long and amazing. One of them, they said, we did family dinner every night together, and when our boys were getting older, their friends would come over, and they would have their friends sit outside on the porch till they were done. Like, whoa. Here's the thing, though, I want to emphasize. This is a picture of Russ and Mark. Mark is his son. Russ decided that between the ages of 10 and 18, every year he would do a father-son trip and would theme it around a proverb from the Bible. 3 sons. You're like, but yeah, he probably had all this time. And no, Russ, attorney, owns the place, elder at a church, had less time than I have. Prioritized it. This was a ritual. He would take them away every single year, one-on-one, from ages 10 to 18. And if you know Mark Robinson, it makes more sense when you understand how he was fathered. Mark and Kelly Petridis, or Kathy Petridis. These are my in-laws. They're some of the most amazing people you will ever meet. When you meet my wife, Kelly, and you talk to her, part of why she's so amazing is because of them. And I asked him, because I'm trying to raise 2 girls, and Kelly is a sister. I'm feeling my way through the dark, like most of us here, right? And I just said, Mark, Kathy, what'd you guys do? And here's what Mark emailed me. He said, every night we would just sit in the girls' room and just talk with them. Now, he's Greek and Italian, so that comes a little bit more natural, right? They would just talk late into the night. He said it was so important to keep the lines of communication open. This was so convicting to me. As I'm reading this email, I'm working, and Kelly's in with the girls, right? I'm like, of course she's in there with them every single night. This is how she was raised. Challenging for me. Dan and Kate Larson, you saw their story. Those of you that were here earlier on time, you saw their story. Right? Every excuse in the world not to be in a mission group. They said, no, it's a ritual. It matters, right? We're going to continue to be in a mission group. And while I'm at it, let me just say, for me and Kelly, ever since we've been married, we have never not been in a group, ever. We've either been in a group or been leading a group. And generally, we're leading a group in the last 9 years of marriage. To the degree, over Christmas break, this is just funny, our girls were playing, and we came up to them and were like, what game are you guys playing? They're like, oh, we're playing this new game we created called Mission Group. I'm like, you are definitely pastor's kids, right? They see it. And we have a lot going on. It really impacted Kelly and I. I'm like, whoa, they're watching. They see how we prioritize people, community. It's never been optional. It's a ritual in our family. Here's the last one, and I'll be done. Keith and Marissa Graff. We got to hang out with Keith and Marissa this summer up at Green Lake, and Kelly and I just peppered them one day with questions on what they've done and what rituals they've had in place to lead to a dynamic marriage. And last night I texted Keith and asked him to remind me on how long they've been married, and his response was roughly 26 years, 7 months, 28 days, 4 hours, and 13 minutes. And here's their ritual: weekly date night. And they just got in Kelly and I's face in the best of ways and said, you guys have to do it. When the kids are little, get them to bed and then have a date night at home. You don't have to go out for date night, right? In fact, some of the best date nights for Kelly and I have been we just made it there and just kind of sat in our own house, right? That's been a ritual. Here's what I'm trying to get to. Listen, you will never drift into doing family better. You won't. You will never drift into doing family better. It will not just happen. It will not take place by accident. Replace good intentions with great intentionality. So what are you going to do, right? Did you just waste the last 30 minutes listening to me talk for stuff you're not going to apply, or are you going to do something? I'm praying that you will incorporate a new family ritual starting right now. Jesus said, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. As you stand to your feet, let me pray for us before Tommy leads us into singing and responding. God, thank you for your great intentionality towards us. Thank you for your irrational love. Thank you for your consistent presence. God, thank you for how you are intentionally pursuing every one of us even now. God, I pray for the families of this church and for every relationship that we have, that it would thrive in 2016. But God, right now, there would be a defining moment where we would take initiative, that we would understand we won't drift into doing family better, that we would replace good intentions with great intentionality. We ask this, Jesus, in your name. Amen.
Thank you for watching Mission Church Online. It's our prayer that this message both challenged and inspired you. We hope you will join us in redefining what church could be in your life by taking a next step. Whether that's sharing this message with a friend, joining us live next Sunday, or requesting prayer by emailing us at prayer@wearemission.com. We believe that these are moments that can lead to movement.